Good morning, Litzy.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and relaxed a little bit. I have graded all of your discussion posts. I think pretty much everyone did fine as long as you did it. The only reason why you wouldn't have done fine is if you didn't remember to respond to someone else's. And I think everyone in this class, yeah, everyone did in this class. So good job on that one. This week, you guys do have your big group project that's due on Friday. So I am going to periodically be giving you guys time in class to work on that. I suggest you take advantage of that time and do so. Remember for that group project that you do need to cite your sources and label your images. And the whole point of this project is to defend your argument. So whichever side you chose, you're defending it. So you won't want to argue against yourself. That would be counterproductive. And those are just a little helpful tips there. Does anyone have questions about their project? Okay. Well then, today we are going to continue on with mediums and we're going to start going over graphic design. We've kind of already touched on graphic design, but we've not really talked about it specifically. That being said, most artists, when they go to art school today, end up in this particular job, the job of graphic design. Some key terms for you guys to write while I'm introducing the topic. So graphic design is billboards, advertisements, commercials, pretty much anything that would be made for a company, like a logo that has visuals on it. So you could see why most people that go to art school would end up in this field. There's a lot of job opportunities in this particular area. You do have to have software design knowledge in order to become a graphic design artist. You also have to understand the appeal of different fonts as well as color schemes. So typography is the technique of using different letter fonts to compose printed material. Certain letter fonts are easier to read and comprehend than others. It's important to keep that in mind when you're a graphic design artist, because your main job is to try and get people to buy stuff. If they can't read your font, that's not really going to be useful. Serif is basically Times New Roman lettering. Sans serif is Times New Romans without the little italic pieces, so Arial. If we're really wanting to get basic. So serif is like Times New Roman's lettering. Sans serif is like Arial font. A logo is a trademark, such as the Nike swoosh. And I mentioned that commercials and things like that are also created by graphic design artists, but I did not mention the fact that title sequences for movies and TV shows are also developed by graphic design artists. So title sequences are at the beginning of some TV shows and films, and it says who is in the show or the movie. And it kind of gives a great introduction to the overarching theme of what that particular show or movie is going to be about. So like I said, we have already talked about graphic design before. We talked about it with printmaking. So this is a lithographic print by Henry Toulouse-Lautrec. This is the Ambassadors. So early lithography prints were first used in Paris for advertising plays, shows, and things of that nature. Henry Toulouse-Lautrec made his living off of making those advertisement posters for the plays and nightlife shows. So something I did not talk about was that Toulouse-Lautrec himself, he was originally from the upper class of Parisian life, so high class society. However, he had a birth deformity. One of his legs was shorter than the other one, and it gave him kind of a hunchback appearance. So he was ostracized by that wealthy class in Paris. Instead, he found his home in the red light district of Paris, where places like the Moulin Rouge were located. And that's where he spent most of his time. Because he spent most of his time in that area and people caught on to the fact that he was sketching everything while he was sitting there and enjoying the shows, the different theater owners hired him to make posters. So that is how he ended up getting the job of making tons of nightlife advertisement posters. So keep in mind, as we go through graphic design, it has lasted a long period of time. As you can see, this one's from 1892, and it's basically art that's used for advertising. That's all it is. So it is one of the most lucrative art forms. Like I keep saying, that's what most people end up going into the field of if they go to art school. We see advertisements using graphic design all the time. And the best graphic designs use really eye-catching typography or lettering and interesting displays of color in order to attract customers' attention. Google is a really great example of graphic design that we see on a daily basis. Most of us will use Google search engine at some point during our day. And you might have noticed that Google likes to change their search engine theme periodically. That is a form of graphic design. Sometimes they'll even do calls for submissions for those. So you can submit your idea or your drawing to Google. And if you're lucky, it'll be selected and then your design will be used for that day. They even occasionally do interactive versions of their search engine. So a great example is on major holidays, like this one was for Halloween a few years ago. It's a game. So you could click on it and then it was like a ghost hunting game kind of thing. They do that on occasion. You might want to pay attention to those days. The games are cute. They're for little kids. But they have a whole graphic design team that helps them come up with those things. It's not like one person, it's a whole team of people. Another example of a group of people that function in graphic design field are Meeker and Associates, headed by, I should say Donald Meeker. He's best known for redoing the federal highway signs. So now we are, well, you guys are young in here, so you won't remember the old ones. So let's see if I can get to the next slide. This is what it looks like now, right? This has been signage since 2004. Prior to this, it was more of like a Times New Roman serif font, so it had like italic lettering. So it wasn't as clear to read from far distances. Donald Meeker decided that, submitted his idea to the Federal Highway Administration for creating clearer signage with a different font, and they adopted it after several tests proving that it was easier to read at further distances. He's also known today for him and his team creating different advertising signs for different companies, such as the High Desert Museum. You guys have come across graphic design several times already in this morning span. Can you guys think of any that you might have come across? I see a lot on you right now. What's on your t-shirt? For my people online. A Cowboys design, yes. So the Cowboys design has a specific typography and font, as well as easy to recognize symbols. Those were developed by graphic design artists. Yes, somebody is looking at their Starbucks cup. Even the holiday cup that might not have their usual logo, it's designed by a graphic design team. The Starbucks logo itself is designed by a graphic design team. Converse, Nike, all of those are designed by graphic design artists. Now, a higher version than just regular logos of graphic design can be seen in Heidi Cody's American Alphabet. For this artwork, she chose easily recognizable logos from major American brands, which is why it's called American Alphabet. And she made an alphabet with it in light boxes. This is a bit older, so some of those logos have changed and been updated. That is another important thing to keep in mind, that even after a logo is designed, it does need to be periodically updated to appeal to younger generations. As well as current trends. So can anyone recognize the A and figure out what brand that is? Probably not anyone in here unless they do laundry. Anyone online know what the A represents? What brand?
It's called All.
Yeah, it's the detergent called All. Yeah. What about the B?
Was that the bubble gum?
Yeah. Bubblicious bubblegum. See, Courtney and I are showing our age here. The C is pretty easy. Campbell soup, yeah. D's a little bit harder. The E is pretty recognizable though, as what? Eggos. And then Frito and Gatorade, the H probably people in here wouldn't know. But here's what all of them represent. Like I said, they have been updated since 2000, which was when this was created. So because even though some of them were harder since it is older, because she chose pretty recognizable logos, even though it was just the first letter of the logo, a majority of us were still able to connect the brand with it. That just shows the power of great graphic design. So logos are an easy way to identify companies and a form of graphic design. A very well-known prominent logo is Louis Vuitton. It has been around since 1854, that little LV logo. Today, Louis Vuitton has been branching out from using their LV and working with different graphic design artists as well as artists themselves and partnering with contemporary artists to create special artist collaborations. That makes those particular versions very coveted by collectors, not only collectors of the bags, but also artists, people that collect artworks. So it appeals to that high-end clientele that they like to keep. Recent collaborations involve Kusama and Jeff Koons. When they do these collaborations, they don't just redesign the merchandise, but they also redesign the entire store. So we see that here with Kusama here. This is just a sketch of what it was supposed to look like inside, and it did eventually look like this. Kusama is most well known for polka dots and stuffed objects. So here we see Kusama's polka dots throughout the entire store. This is what's known as an installation, which we will be talking about tomorrow. An installation entirely changes the layout of, well, not the layout, but the room and its like overall experience to the senses, meaning that the artwork takes up the entire space. So here they partnered with the artist Kusama to transform the space as well as the merchandise. Of course, they don't just choose a random artist. They choose an artist that's highly collectible that time. So the year that Louis Vuitton partnered with Kusama for this, she was one of the highest selling artists in the world at the time. So like I said, they weren't just appealing to people that bought bags, but they were also appealing to people that bought art, because these bags in turn ended up becoming art pieces. And that is the artist Kusama. And this is the opening of that particular drop or launch. And that is one of the bags there. And there's the outside of their flagship store. So not only did they redo the interior, but also the exterior. And of course, Kusama didn't do all of this by herself. It was a whole team of people working together to come up with a way to accomplish this task, as well as the Louis Vuitton design team. Another artist that they've recently partnered with is Jeff Koons. Jeff Koons decided that he was going to repaint these famous images by well-known artists such as Peter Paul Rubens, Van Gogh, and Fragonard, which you'll learn about all these guys later on. Almost everyone wrote about Van Gogh for their little short discussion post, though. I don't know how many times I can read about Van Gogh in one day. But so it looks like Peter Paul Rubens was just stealing these artists' work, which technically he was. Peter Paul Rubens borders on pop art. Pop art is popularized art. So what Rubens, or not Rubens, Jeff Koons, sorry, Jeff Koons borders on popular art. What Koons did is he chose really popular artworks by popular artists in their time and redid them for bags. So what he did is he actually painted artworks in the actual dimensions that the originals are, and then he had those reproductions printed onto the bags. So this is actually a reproduction, and this is what his launch day looked like. He made the Louis Vuitton store into basically an art museum. And on the plinths, which is what these things are, or pedestals, they had the different merchandise displayed for people to buy. This particular launch was so successful that they did a part 2 the next year. And of course, you could see how this would appeal to not just the bag collectors, but also artwork collectors, and why they would want to purchase all of these in the series. Once again, it wasn't Koons working by himself to accomplish this. He was working with a whole team of people and graphic design artists to pull this off. Louis Vuitton does keep on staff a bunch of graphic design artists and design artists to help come up with their new designs all the time. And this is the exterior of that particular launch on the flagship store. So another form of graphic design beyond logos is posters. Posters are very concise visual announcements, ways to get your points across very quickly, or ways to try and advertise a product very fast. A great example of a poster that was able to get its point across very quickly is Shepard Fairey's Hope poster. So what do you guys think the point that he's trying to get across is here? By the way, this was from Obama's first election, so that should help give you context. What is the point? What's he trying to get you to understand? Sorry, you're super muffled. Yeah, so Obama and electing him was a new hope for the people. Yeah, that's exactly the point that he was trying to get across here. And this poster was very successful at doing so. Shepard Fairey was a Chicago citizen, well, is a Chicago citizen, and Obama was like, he's from Chicago. So the whole city was pretty supportive of him. These posters made Shepard Fairey millions of dollars because they were so popular to buy. This ended up being adopted as like a major campaign poster by Obama's team because it was so successful. Unfortunately, after the election, Shepard Fairey ended up being sued because of this poster because he plagiarized it. Because he stole a copywritten image to make this poster. So he got his image or a picture of Obama used for the background from a newspaper that happened to copyright that photograph. And they caught on to the fact that Shepard Fairey stole the photograph from their newspaper, which is copywritten. So basically he stole it, and he ended up being sued for the rights of the image that he was using, and he lost millions of dollars because, yeah, he can't steal stuff. You just can't. Another example of graphic design logos is Jonathan Barnbrook's Olympique. This was done from forever ago, from the Beijing Olympics, which are a long, long time ago. basically, Jonathan Barnbrook became so annoyed with all of the commercial advertisements in the Olympics that particular year. If you guys haven't watched the Olympics in a while, there's like a commercial every 5 minutes advertising something that you should buy that is showcasing the different Olympic athletes saying, oh, I use this, you should buy it. Barnbrook became very annoyed with all of the advertisements, so he made this Olympic series to showcase that. The most well-known image from that particular series is here, drowning in advertising. I'm guessing you could probably make out which brand he was getting after here. Coca-Cola, yes. So he merged Coca-Cola with swimming because that particular Olympics, it was the athlete Michael Phelps that was advertising Coca-Cola and acting like he was drinking it. And Jonathan Barnbrooks was like, no, Michael Phelps is probably not drinking Coca-Cola. Because if he was drinking a whole bunch of Coca-Cola, he probably wouldn't be swimming like that. Also, once again, he was sick and tired of seeing commercials in his Olympics. I guess he really, really wanted to watch the Olympics and was not happy with all the breaks. These were actually released in app format, so you could download the Olympic series onto your phone and then select these as backgrounds for your phone screen. You cannot do it anymore. That app no longer exists. We will be talking about another app later on. So I mentioned at the beginning, another form of graphic design is title sequences. I'm going to have to ask you to put your mask on, okay? Title sequences happen at the beginning of movies or TV shows, and they say who is in the movie, who is in the TV show, and they help set the tone for the rest of the show to follow. A wonderful example of the use of title sequences is in Kyle Cooper's Seven, which uses different typography and different brief images to set the tone for the rest of the movie. And we are going to watch this title sequence. Courtney, do you see this? Yes or no? I haven't started it yet. It should just be a black screen.
Yeah, I see the title of it.
Okay, thank you. So you might have noticed as you were watching that the text is kind of wonky. It keeps flashing in and out. It seems piecey, and in the background, the images were of him putting together and pasting different things together. So those both matched up. Also, the music in the background was scratchy and jumpy, which goes along with that similar theme. So using all of those clues, what do you think the tone of 7 might be? Or the theme? What do you think it's probably about? If you were to label a genre. A mystery, yes. So it's like a mystery thriller kind of movie. Yeah, and you could gather that just from watching the title sequence, which is the main purpose of what that title sequence was supposed to do. It was supposed to set you up like mindset wise and get you in the right headspace to get ready to watch a thriller mystery. So you can see how title sequences would be used for viewers and how it goes beyond just saying who's in the film or who's in the show and how that helps. Another great example of a title sequence that's kind of a cute one is Full House. You know how it says all the names and it has the really cute little song in the background and all the family images. That's to get you to realize that this show is a family show. So you should be watching it together and it's lighthearted. And that title sequence is all about lightheartedness. So our last version of graphic design or example of graphic design is interactive design. Interactive design is like that Google toolbar that I showed you at the beginning that was a game as well as a logo. Another example of interactive graphic design could be video games. Those are developed by graphic design artists and teams. And then, of course, our artsy example is Bjork's Biophilia app. Bjork is not super well known today, so I doubt like many people in this room probably know who that is. But she used to be a really famous music artist. She's very strange as well, very, very odd. So in 2011, she decided that instead of releasing her new album on like iTunes or in a like disc format, that she would release it as an interactive app. So she made it into a game. And you would have to click through different things to find her next song on that album. We're going to look at a little video of how that worked in a second. She later on that same year made a free Christmas version entitled Solstice. It was basically a greeting card. So you would download Solstice and there was like 3 rings that made a Christmas tree. And they all had a little round thing that revolved around it. And depending on when you clicked on the round thing, you could make it play Jingle Bells. And then it was like a game. And once you made it play Jingle Bells, you would send it on to the next person as a greeting card. Biophilia is not that cute. It's a bit odd, but the same kind of context there in the fact that it was a game. Of course, Biophilia was not free. It's like $14. I think you can still download it today, although I don't know why you'd want to, unless you have $14 to waste. So when you open the app, this is basically what you see, and the different dots and little splotches of light do things if you click on them.
They say back
So
then.
you click on one of the splotches and it'd take you to the song, which, yeah.
Our universe was a cold black egg. The urge is here.
So yeah, you get it. It's weird. If it's Bjork's personality, though, if you're familiar with her. So once again, she released that app in 2011 as an interactive way to listen to an album instead of just streaming it straight off. You could actually do stuff with it. And that was developed by her graphic design team. She told them, "This is my idea, make it happen," kind of thing. And that's what they came up with. That's actually it for graphic design. So today we went over advertisements, typography, logos, posters, title sequences, and interactive design, which is more popular today, especially with like gaming and things like that. Any questions about graphic design? So today is the shortest lesson. So that means you're definitely going to want to take advantage of today to work on your group project, especially since almost every single person is here today. I will recheck our teams to see if the last couple logged on. Yeah, almost everybody is here today. So the only person I don't see Grace or Ty. That's it. Everyone else is here. So take advantage of the fact that everybody is here right now to get some of your questions or concerns talked about and discussed together, to share ideas and what you guys need to get done this week since that project is due on Friday. So I'm going to recommend that you guys stick around today to do that instead of disappearing. So stick around and get stuff done. Anyone in here having problems getting in touch with anyone? And finally, you got your other two people. I'll email him. He emailed it. Jesus, I would do that for that. But it is Sunday. I ain't answering email. Anyone online having issues getting in touch with people in your groups? Everyone's good?